about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, guys, we are back at the Dr. Daliah Show, 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So for those of you still in shock of Saturday's events where President Donald Trump almost died, where we witnessed on TV an assassination attempt, if you're still traumatized by it, in shock, yeah, that's normal. Let's walk through it. Let's get everybody on the same page, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm still shaken up by it. I mean, I was a kid when Ronald Reagan was shot, watching the video footage of JFK, of what happened to Martin Luther King, the assassinations of RFK that have, pervaded our recent history, and the assassination attempts. But the successful assassinations will definitely drive home an anxiety and a concern, because we as humans think humans don't kill each other. Humans shouldn't be taking politics that seriously. You might dislike Trump, but you really want him dead. And part of the shock and the traumatization we're having is seeing some of the response. Yeah, when I see videos and I see social media posts on they missed, take some more lessons. You're like, wait a second here. I don't know what's more traumatizing, seeing what we saw happen to a political candidate in America, or seeing the response of people that to something like that. We really lose humanity when we want somebody to die over politics. I think we're taking politics just a little too seriously. But also part of this shock you're feeling, we're going to break down a lot of this, because I know there's people are overwhelmed. The news is overwhelming right now. Everybody's seen the footage over and over and over again. It's not easy. It's not, and I'll tell you guys how to cope. We'll work through it, because it's not going to go away anytime soon. I mean, we are going to continually be reminded of how crazy this world has gotten, and how close it was, where one of the more popular candidates right now, and according to the polls set to win, almost was murdered on live TV in front of our eyes. It is very anxiety producing. It's okay. It's okay. But we need to understand that one, it's okay to talk about. Two, it's okay to disconnect and not talk about it. But three, understand that a lot of the anxiety is going to be now pulled from other aspects of what we saw. People, the younger individuals, my students or former students, a lot of the Gen Z millennials never witnessed anything like that. And what they learned about JFK and Martin Luther King was not as close in history as to some of us who are Gen X and baby boomers. It was still before my time, but I mean, it was still fresh. I remember my family still talking about it in the 70s, and it was still fresh. And so the shock with the younger generations going, this is history. We just watch history. Oh my God, what if they killed him? What would have happened? We see a lot of BS in the movies. We see a lot of TV shows, and it doesn't prepare you for real life. We're everything is so sensationalized, everything is so Hollywood, and then something like this happens where it sounds like a pop. You see President Trump's ear. To me, I thought he got shot near the ear. I thought either the outer ear was shot. All of a sudden, people are telling me, "Oh, he got shot through the chin and the cheek." And no, guys, I think he lived through it. The fact that he felt it, you could see it stung, and then he crouched down. He got down. Secret Service, which is another discussion. People are really kind of concerned about what the hell happened there. God bless those Secret Service agents that jumped on him and tried to protect him and put their lives at risk to do that. Which is another conversation for another segment. But that again, when we watch the TV and the news, there's music. There, like with Jaws, dun dun. When there's a shark in the water, there's this aura beforehand. No, with real life violence, there's no warning. Gunshots don't sound like the way it sounds on TV. Every time we have heard witnesses talk about what happened at a mass shooting or a school shooting, they're like, it sounded like pops or firecrackers. And, here, this was I almost didn't hear the pops. I saw him wince and grab his ear. And it's, it's still hard. And then seeing him stand up and put the fist up, saying fight. That was cool enough and of itself because one thing I really, really like about these football players that get injured is for them to be so unselfish, which they don't need to be, and show their fans a thumbs up that they're okay so that we all in the stands and on TV take a deep breath. Trump did that. He wanted to make sure that everybody knew he was alive and okay because just the shock. And the second he did that, I remember just kind of exhaling because I had held my breath the whole time, and I think a lot of us are like, okay, good. And but that takes an unselfish act. I mean, Secret Service is trying to save your life. Secret Service is trying to get you out of harm's way, and he would still, being a possible target, wanted to make sure his supporters knew he was still alive and he was okay. Wow. So it's. If you're stressed, if you're anxious about it, it's totally normal. This stuff shouldn't be happening. We shouldn't see another human want to kill another human. We wouldn't want to see other humans happy about it. All the build up to this, calling Trump a Hitler wannabe. In fact, there was a doctor who had a picture of Hitler and a meme kind of comparing, Trump. Honestly, the anxiety is going to continue. But you need to talk about it. You need to just work through it. And you need to understand that a lot of what we think, which might be kind of make-believe, is not real life. And getting this dose of reality is pretty scary. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, don't go away.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Now, don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. And big thanks to Daniel, our producer. So Democrats and Republicans have to figure out how to move forward after the assassination attempt. And one of the things that has been blamed for the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump was the rhetoric. And both sides are finger pointing and, Biden had brought up bullseye and Trump had said we need to fight. And some other Democratic congressman said it's going to take a bullet. And Republicans are like, we need to, it's going to be civil war. And so, yes, there has been a lot of ridiculous rhetoric. And I do not blame President Biden for Donald Trump being shot. When you look at this shooter, which we're going to also talk about a little bit later today, this kid, this punk kid, that this didn't look like it was a military or a CIA op or something. This is, but being that it's a 20-year-old who registered Republican but had donated to a liberal Democratic organization, we're going to obviously need some answers. There's, he not sure what the hell this person's motivation was per se, but Republicans and Democrats are a little anxious about a few things. The first thing I thought when I saw the shooting was, is Biden safe? Is Biden's out there also rallying? I want Biden to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. We obviously have a huge lapse in security. There's something seriously wrong from a Secret Service standpoint. God bless those men and women that tried to protect Trump the other day. But if this could happen in 2024 on Biden's Secret Service watch, is he going to be okay? And especially with all the rhetoric of replace him. I mean, assassination attempts have happened, sadly, with other political candidates to remove them from office. And so my after I saw what happened with Trump, I was like, okay, is Biden safe? Or what else is happening? Is this something that where there's multiple people involved? So Democrats and Republicans obviously now realize that they just can't count on a Secret Service protocol to do the job of keeping everybody safe. And I'm not criticizing Secret Service. In fact, somebody had asked during one of the press conferences or the press briefings, are you going to change your protocols now? And the Secret Service head said no. So, yeah, obviously that's making Democrats and Republicans kind of nervous. Democrats also, I think the Morning Joe show got taken off air temporarily. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent. I think temporarily because, of a lot of the rhetoric. Nobody wants now these sound bites to come out and, where they might have figuratively meant that Trump needs to be eliminated or whatever. And now all these sound bites are coming out, and it's not a good look, especially since the poop got real. It got real the other day. Also, the Democrat campaign has been flailing. There's been a lot of focus on Project 2025, which a conservative group had come up with a wish list, a game plan that Trump has denounced. He had said is abysmal. He's not endorsing it. But the Democrats don't have a lot to go on. And they even know they can't keep bringing up Project 2025 if Trump continually says, what is it? That's not my game plan. And so if they can't bring up the Hitler analogies and all the other BS that a lot of the extremists have done, they're limited. In fact, Biden did a good job saying, look, we need to tone this down. And he had a very, very nice, I didn't like his press conference because it really wasn't a press conference, and he walked off looking feeble again. But when he sat in the Oval Office, it was a good look. I don't know why Biden isn't doing more of those. His PR people really need, talk to me. Okay, I will give you strategy whether you're Republican or Democrat. Just don't, just do your job. But it was a good look, asking for, I think he messed up. I think he might have called, messed up a couple words, but, say we got to tone it down. We got to calm it down, including him. I think everybody is owning up to, and I get it. I get it. If somebody says, it's interesting. I was thinking years ago about running for office, where I wasn't going to be doing yellow journalism. I wasn't going to be criticizing, as a doctor, you don't want to get all nasty and to people because, you care about people and I was going to show how you could really do a campaign where you don't necessarily have to ask people to give a lot of money. And it was going to be a reality TV show to show how lemonade stands, how getting out there and doing grassroots could actually work. And it never went to fruition because for you to run for office, you got to kind of give up everything else you're doing. And I really wasn't ready to do that because I had an office and I couldn't really let my patients go. And, it was a tough time. Plus, it was during Obamacare, so in the recession. But, people were telling me you got to be able to fight and you got to show you could fight. And I'm like, you don't necessarily have to, though, speak the rhetoric that we're seeing. And I don't think Democrats and Republicans really know how to, effectively get through a campaign speech because there's been this idea of clickbait and sensationalism and going viral. Trump made his fame by getting on that primary stage with other Republicans and saying like it is, making fun of them, and people loved him. Yeah, and so in this day and age where everybody's trying to one up each other for headlines, if you're like, look, we Republicans or we Democrats have a good record, we're standing on this, it doesn't sell. And so it's gotten to the point now where everybody's making fun of each other. They're coming up with slogans and they're like Sleepy Joe. I don't necessarily like that term for Sleepy Joe. I don't think you need to go there. I think we already saw his policies, the border. It's just, I think just saying Joe Biden is already enough. You don't have to add, extra insults to that, but it doesn't sell. Media doesn't want to cover Joe Biden is failing on the border and failing on a lot of policies. That doesn't sell. So now Democrats and Republicans have to figure out how do you move forward with low rhetoric. The Republican National Convention is going on right now. Trump, from what we understand, is going to be giving a much different speech than he would have. But the message he, I think, wants to send is, they keep throwing stuff at him. They keep throwing lawsuits at him. They keep throwing, court cases at him. They're throwing bullets at him, and he's still standing, which he is, and which is he's a badass. But how do the Democrats move forward? How do the Republicans move forward without, now that we are reminded that we have crazy people out there? One thing that you have to understand is when you have a person who doesn't have logic or good mental health, they may be taking this rhetoric very seriously. So if you and I see somebody compare Trump to Hitler, you're like, really? In fact, I had to defriend a doctor because I think he really believed that. And I was like, really? The man that was responsible for exterminating millions killed my family? You're really comparing a political candidate to that? Are you kidding me? But most of us, with good mental health, know, okay, that's just full of it. But when you have somebody with severe mental health, they're being told that Trump is a threat to democracy, that this country's going to fall apart, or if Biden wins again, the world is going to collapse. Somebody with poor mental health will take that stuff seriously. And I understand you cannot control everybody who has poor mental health. I mean, why did John Hinckley Jr. think Jodie Foster would be impressed with him shooting Ronald Reagan? I mean, sometimes these people are just so delusional. But if that is the same message, I keep hearing the message, Project 2025, Trump's going to do this, Trump's going to do this. Trump keeps saying, I'm not even a part of that, don't even know what it is, but look at your messaging. Because if you're telling people something that's wrong and you're inciting them to it brews into this. So Republicans and Democrats now need to figure out how to do a more truthful, honest campaign over the next few months. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah and on Facebook, the Dr. Daliah Show, as well as YouTube. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. So we're all thinking it. We're all asking the same question. Why the flippity flip fire truck, whatever, I can't say it on air, but you guys are probably using the word, how the flip did a 20-year-old punk outsmart the Secret Service to get to former President Donald Trump? This Thomas Matthew Crooks, I know we're not getting a lot of details, but to me, I mean, he doesn't look like he's a member of the military. He doesn't look like he's had extensive firearm training. He's a political mix where he donated to a Democratic, not a lot, but he donated to a Democratic charity. But he registered as a Republican. And again, people always ask me about that. And maybe he wanted to change who was running for the Republicans. Maybe a lot of people in the primary will put themselves down so they can help vote and change the way things are before they go back to being Democrat or Republican and whoever they want to be. And maybe I've heard people say, look, I want to vote on the Democratic ticket to show how unpopular Biden is, or I want to vote on. So, registering, technically it was a registered Republican. Does that mean he was a Republican? I don't know. The average Republican and the average Democrat I know does not support shooting candidates. So I don't, but there's a lot of anger right now, and finger pointing, which happens. That's, it's part of the stages of shock. One, is denial. You're like, no, That didn't happen. And in fact, people have already tried to say that this was set up, that it was, that's why it was so superficial. You know, how else would a Trump survived it? The BS that is going on right now. Again, if I'm depressed about anything, it's one, that we almost lost a human being on live TV. You know, that is, fighting for the country. And two is that the way the humans are acting, it's kind of embarrassing to be human right now, considering some of the BS we're seeing. But the next phase is anger and finger pointing, going, how did this happen? Now, I was very slow to criticize the Secret Service when I saw the amazing heroism of the Secret Service agents throwing themselves on top of him, creating a shield so that he can get off stage and the bullets would hit them instead. Wow. And so anybody within the Secret Service who put their life on the line and is doing it for Biden, doing it for Trump, God bless you. But the question still remains, what the hell happened? The shooter was in a building about, 130 yards away? And another thing that draws a lot of questions is attendees, civilians, regular people at the rally saw the shooter bear crawl and get into position on the building, notifying police. Wouldn't the Secret Service have already been on that? And so I don't want conspiracy theories to start pervading, but there's a lot of questions surrounding, wait a second, Secret Service is one of the best, most elite group. Nothing gets by Secret Service. Then what the hell happened here? And this wasn't an operation where you had foreign military spy covert operatives behind this. It was some 20-year-old punk. I'm confused. I'm very confused. And so close. Now, I understand that there was a big call by some of the Democratic House members to stop Trump's Secret Service protection, which was scary in and of itself. Well, if he's convicted, then he doesn't need Secret Service. And so, yeah, I see why people are like, okay, wait a second. They're trying to minimize the Secret Service. Did they minimize the number he had? And then another conversation that is coming up also is the DEI. That how the Secret Service, head wanted to make sure there was more women, make sure, and it's admirable to be diversified. I think we all need diversity. But can you make sure that everybody is equipped and right for the job? We need to, it really hurts us women if you're choosing women who aren't qualified. Just make sure. And I also don't want to see the conversation that people are blaming the women for this. Now, until we know more details, I have no problem having a conversation about focus and priorities. And did we do missteps trying to be diverse in terms of having lightweights or, shorter individuals who might not be able to be tall enough to provide cover, or people who didn't. I think there's reports that one of them, struggled putting a gun in a holster. Another one said, "What did we do? What did we do?" So it sounded like there might have been some trainees there. I mean, not the best venue for a trainee session, but when you heard what do we do, it does start to bring the conversation of, did we hire people that were trained? Now, they could be male, they could be female, they could be Republican, Democrat, whatever, but if you are holding a job and you are hiring for a job, just make sure they're qualified. Don't be just randomly picking individuals to check a box, because then look at what's happening. Now, one of the biggest conversations is the Secret Service messed up, and where were their priorities? Were their priorities training everybody and making sure there were plenty of individuals on site and mapping out the venue, and so there's a lot of questions now. FBI is obviously involved as well. Law enforcement, I think it was local law enforcement that took out the shooter. Way to go! Now I saw the video. There was some question over, was there a hesitation? Could he have shot first? Did they wait? Let's everybody wait until we get more details. We do need to get more details on that. But I do think this is a wake-up call for us to realize that a lot of parts of our industries and our infrastructure are half-assed. We have a half-assed border policy. We have half-assed medical infrastructure as seen throughout the COVID pandemic, and we still haven't built more hospitals and come up with a better system than an Obamacare card. Half-assed in terms of these recalls and these drug recalls and these foodborne illnesses. Somebody is sleeping on the job. And so whoever managed this venue, there's a lot of calls for the Secret Service to maybe employ or to shake up, who's in charge, and because this was a cluster at a seventh. And we're going to slowly learn more about this Thomas Matthew Crooks. Immediately when I heard the name, I went onto Instagram. Of course, the FBI will block the Instagram account. Sometimes they don't, and it doesn't look like he was some operative with a lot of experience. So we need to know how he outsmarted Secret Service. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't go away.
Considered by most, optimized curcumin is one of the few bioavailable and highly absorbable curcumin products on the market. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch. Since most chronic diseases have inflammation, our optimized curcumin seems to be a perfect addition to any nutritional program. It makes sense to me that preventing or reducing inflammation is a key component to our overall health. The Mayo Clinic found that curcumin can decrease swelling and inflammation, has antioxidant properties, and research suggests that curcumin can prevent cancer, or at least slow the spread of cancer, and in many instances make chemotherapy more effective. It protects our healthy cells even from radiation. TotalWellness.com, where we help you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So will there be any more rallies anytime soon? And do you still feel safe enough to go to one. We lost a firefighter in the shooting on Saturday. We also have 2 people critically injured after the shooting. First, the Pennsylvania local firefighter, I believe he was 50 years old, Corey Comparatori, father, trying to protect his daughters and his wife during the shooting, died at the Butler, Pennsylvania rally. 2 other men were injured in the shooting, a 57-year-old, according to USA Today, New Kensington, Pennsylvania resident, and a 74-year-old resident of Moon Township. From what we understand as of yesterday, state police said they were in stable condition, but still critically injured because multiple shots were fired. And seeing that there was, and there is a GoFundMe, immediately everybody's been, wanting to help the family and support them. I think the Trump team had set up an account, and there's, it's amazing how people will sometimes in the aftermath also be amazing and giving. So there is a GoFundMe account, and I will post that link also on my Twitter and Facebook so you guys could access that. But a question that was spoken about Saturday night was, are there going to be any more rallies? How are they going to do political, rallies? And after JFK was assassinated, they changed the way parades and driving through the cities such as Dallas and waving and letting people get to see you and be of the people had to change, where now you needed bulletproof cars. And it's interesting because the way America wanted to distinguish itself from Great Britain in the 1700s was, rather than there being a monarchy and a king and a castle and armed guards, and where our politicians were a representative democracy. And if you want a town hall, you want to speak, you want to shake the hand, you could do that. Now, the UK does. King Charles is out there shaking hands, but in America, we always kind of took pride on, we're at your local grocery store. We're coming to your place of work. We're real people. It's not that we're a long bloodline of monarchs. We are regular people like you, and you are choosing me to be the spokesperson to represent you, whether it's city council, assembly, state senate, national Congress, president, vice president. And so I'm with you because I could relate to you. I've worked, I've waited tables, I've served in the military. I've seen somebody that has that sort of connection. Is something that kind of makes American politics great. And so these rallies and being out there's all this push for these swing states, for these politicians to get out there, get to Pennsylvania, get to Ohio, get to these swing states, get to Nevada, so that people know you care about them. It's something that's very integral in a campaign. If you have a president or a presidential candidate that has no plans of visiting your neck of the woods, how do you feel like they're going to represent your neck of the woods? President be everywhere, but it's an important part of the campaign process. And these rallies become a lot more ubiquitous, or a lot more utilized as we get closer to the election. Now, we've been able to do rallies overall because since the multiple assassinations of the 60s, we've learned to have Secret Service protection, and rallies are probably one of the most closed and protected and bubbled venues. This one, no. the one in Butler, Pennsylvania, this Saturday, no. And that's why John Hinckley Jr. shot President Reagan in front of a hotel. You couldn't get to them at a rally. Rallies were airtight. And so now we have started to see the holes, the missteps, and it's, and it's always easy to be Monday morning quarterback, but we have some serious questions that need to be answered when you have a 20-year-old punk able to outsmart the Secret Service and be in a building 130 yards away. Really? Come on. And so I think we are not going to have a lot of grassroots type, here I am, I'm going to shake your hands, there's going to be a lot of barriers. And I think the Trump supporters understand that. I think the Biden supporters understand that too. Nobody wants to see Biden get shot. And we have a very, we have a very troubled population now where people say this Thomas Matthew Crooks, this 20-year-old shooter, had no previous history. Many of them don't. Adam Lanza, when he shot up Sandy Hook, I don't think he had a criminal history. Many of these individuals, their first crime is their first crime. And the average mass shooter doesn't really get a lot of other mass shootings under their belt. They might not be necessarily shoplifters. They might not be doing Grand Theft Auto. And so if we're only going to use the screen, well, let's see if they have priors. We're not doing enough. And because many of these individuals are bullied, and you hear students say he was kind of an outcast. He was a loner. Nobody's looking at their notebook. Nobody's looking at their journal. Nobody is following them on social media or even encouraging them to be on social media because they're just like, okay, you're weird, so I'm staying away from you. And so we have a lot of individuals who will just silently do their own thing. It's interesting. I was in Germany, Stuttgart, and my son said, everybody's here is really nice, but they also engage, they look at you. They make eye contact here in Germany. And I'm like, but do you think they're just staring because, I look like Phyllis Diller and, no, I think they're just more prone to making eye contact. Well, in America, we've learned no eye contact. We've learned not to engage. In fact, I was told in the 90s I was going to be walking around New York City by myself. This was before, I think, Rudy Giuliani, worked with the police and got crime down. And I remember when people told me, look, if you're going to New York, just keep your head low. Don't be looking up at skyscrapers. Don't be looking other people in the eye. Keep your head low and just keep walking, keep walking. And so we have this isolationist attitude, whereas you can have somebody walking around with a gun. Whatever happened to people watching? Because nobody wants to engage. So would I go to another rally? I'd need Secret Service to tell us what they're going to do different. And they're going to have to do something different because this was a cluster in the 7th. 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.